There's lots of rain around. We hope it stays away from Bristol because that's where the next game takes place, and that's going to be Bangladesh against Sri Lanka. And what a cracker of a contest it is. Sri Lanka, of course, struggled early on. They've got personnel, they've got an inexperienced captain. Bangladesh playing fabulous cricket. They came up against a better English side, but playing absolutely fantastic cricket. So that should be a mouth-watering contest, Joy.
No, absolutely, and they're last year or so, they are 2-2. I mean, there was a time when a Bangladesh-Sri Lanka match 5 years back would have been certainty 4-1. Maybe if it's in Bangladesh, there might be a bit of a fight, but anywhere else in the world, you wouldn't even think of it as an encounter that Sri Lanka would be worried about. Today, you would have to say that Bangladesh go in as slight favourites. May not be huge favourites, but as slight favourites. Solid. See, the important thing is the solid core. So Mushfiqur, you have you have Shakib Al Hasan, you have the Tamim Iqbal and Mashrafe. That core, and then you take Shomo Sharkar, Mohammedullah, 6, 7, 8 guys who've been playing a long time. Look at the Sri Lankans. You know, other than Angelo Matthews, to a certain extent, Karunaratne, they don't have guys who've been playing together for a long time with the team. And I think that's telling.
And it starts with the captain. I mean, where's Mashrafe, who's been leading for so long? He might have lots of strapping on his knees and whatnot, but when you have that experience coming up against a guy who's captained only for a handful of games, it tells.
There's no doubt about it. You know, Mashrafe is a senior campaigner, and he's got a good feel of the game. And I like to see him captain the side. Like, you know, he's got that ideas. He'll rotate his bowlers, and Bangladesh has been consistent in this World Cup. You know, so that's something. When you looking at these two teams, you would say that Bangladesh is going to be favourite going in tomorrow. If there is no rain around, I'm sure Bangladesh, what they've been doing consistently in this tournament, which is putting runs on board and having enough resources for Mashrafe to maneuver his troop in terms of bowling and getting the result which they want, and they've showed it with beating South Africa. So tomorrow, I think Sri Lanka has a lot of work to do in terms of, you know, getting the momentum going. They can do it. There is no doubt about it. They've shown that sign against Afghanistan. You know, by the start they got, but it was patchy. You know, so it's just that, you know, they couldn't finish. You know, they laid the platform, they laid the foundation, but couldn't really build from that. So that's something which they'll have to be focused on, that they cannot relax. You know, that's something which is the key message for Sri Lanka as far as tomorrow's game is concerned. Make sure that whatever overs are there in the game, you stay focused, you stay on the job, you put your head down, get the job done, and then move forward. So that's something which is important from Sri Lanka's point of view. But all in all, it's going to be a good contest because both the teams will be wanting to get going in this tournament in a strong way.
One word I'm going to pick up from what Zahid Khan said is consistency, and there's no better example than consistency than not changing your team over the course of a couple of games to start the tournament, and that's what they've done. They have not really needed to go to their reserve resources, and all of whom, mind you, are people who'd walk into the side, and that just shows the strength of the side.
No, this is a good Bangladesh team. This is a solid Bangladesh team. I think Saifuddin had one good match, and then after that he tailed away a bit. I mean, that is the only worry that I have.
So Rubel possibly?
Yeah, he's the only guy who I look at that side and say that, you know what, they might look at him and say, wonder what is the thing. But otherwise, it's a very solid side, and the guys know, each and every one of these guys know what they have to do. Remember, if Bangladesh beats Sri Lanka tomorrow, then they enter that sort of second level of teams that we're talking about: New Zealand, Pakistan, West Indies. Then they enter that area where they, you know, that sort of mid-level team, and I think they'll be dangerous then, because, you know, once they've won one more, it'll be interesting. If Sri Lanka wins, it'll be interesting because that's going to be the start of their comeback. But the odds look against them right now.
And you talk about blows to teams, literally and otherwise. South Africa have had a few problems, but for Sri Lanka, they've one big bright spark so far. Nuwan Pradeep injured his hand on Sunday, and therefore he's ruled out for the game. So it's not
That's a big one. Nuwan is gone?
gone for tomorrow's game.
So, he's someone who would have used the conditions well for sure, because he's got that good seam positioning for conditions. If the conditions are overcast, then he would have certainly extracted a lot of help from the wicket. But otherwise, they have to find that similar kind of role being played by someone else. It's important. It's important that they go in with that kind of a mindset of not relaxing, because they have the experience of Lasith Malinga as well in that bowling department. Lakmal has looked off colour, so he'll have to step up now, because if there is a lot of rain around in that area, then obviously we are talking about playing that extra seamer, which I'm sure Bangladesh will also have to do it. But more the reason Sri Lanka will have to look for that kind of option in their squad. Angelo Matthews once again needs to come to the party, along with Kushal Mendis. I think these two players from Sri Lanka's point of view in terms of batting, but they're getting the start. The captain and Kushal Perera has been giving them the kind of start which they require. Kushal Perera has looked good with his approach and intent in the tournament so far. So that's something which you would expect them to continue with. But in the middle phase, they need that partnership. Then you have that power of Thisara Perera at the back end, which if the platform is set, you've seen with many teams, if the platform is set, then your power hitters come into play. But if your power hitters have to alter their role and come in early and play the different kind of role where they have to build their innings, then you are making it that much difficult for them to get going. But when the bowlers are on back foot, your power hitters are in, that's the time you actually go that 25-30 runs above par, or you get those extra runs which we've always seen in especially 50-over cricket. So that's something which they'll have to put their head around.
But changes to the team, because Jeevan Mendes was playing initially, then Nuwan Pradeep came in, performed brilliantly. Now there's no Nuwan Pradeep, so do they go with that extra batting option with Avishka Fernando, or go back to Jeevan Mendes and his experience?
I actually like, if you're a team which is not much is happening, which right now Sri Lanka looks like a team not much is happening, Avishka Fernando is, they say, the next big guy in Sri Lankan cricket. He's very exciting. He's opening batsman. He can hit. More important than anything else, I believe when teams are down, especially, and so many, what do people do? They change a dress, they change something. They need to change something, and maybe that's the thing. Bring in a new spark. Maybe something will happen. He'll get a few early runs. They need a spark for the team. So I'd bring in a young kid and say, "Yaar, dekhte hain kya hota hai."